Prince Harry is an enigma in and of himself. His actions demonstrate that he is an independent thinker who prioritizes his own needs over those of others. Growing up in what felt like a zoo was the worst experience of his life, but he never hesitated to free himself from the shackles of his birth into the British monarchy. The question of what made him so unusual persisted for a long time. Did something else happen, or was it just his parents' sad marriage? He may not even be the actual prince. At age 40, Prince Harry decided to set the record straight about the stories that have been circulating about him for years. Be sure to watch the video all the way to the finish to see his exact confirmations. Unfortunately, he watched his father get intoxicated on infidelity and ego as his mother sobbed in a corner as he grew up. It's common knowledge that a child is greatly impacted by what they witness in their environment. Despite its innocent beginnings as a fairy tale romance, the marriage of Princess Diana and Prince Charles became one of the most talked about scandals of the 20th century. Their 1981 nuptials were viewed by millions as the pinnacle of a perfect royal partnership. What then happened, and more crucially, when did everything go wrong? Diana, a young woman deeply in love, was understandably blameless when the trouble began before anyone could have foreseen it. Her ideal husband had become her husband. A majestic white horse, her Prince Charming. Who could have predicted that Charles's long-term affair with Camilla Parker Bowles would continue? Even though Diana's marriage was in shambles before Charles's emotional, physical, and adulterous affair with Camilla broke her heart, it put an even greater strain on an already fraying union. Everything this time, Diana slept alone, knowing that her husband did not feel the same way, even though she tried her hardest, looked her best, and gave her everything. She hoped that her husband would finally see her for who she truly was, a respected and loved wife. Diana went through a lot of emotional pain attempting to fit in with royal life and satisfy her husband, Charles, while he was having an affair with Camilla. As the media began to pry into their private lives, the strain of this love triangle became even more apparent. Picture this: you're making every effort to be the ideal princess, but then a video of your husband's infidelity becomes viral. Even worse, she wasn't carrying it. A direct slap in Diana's face, leaked slime tape showed Prince Charles freely expressing his wish to live in Camilla's pants. She was a devoted and polite wife, but since she wed this family, she has only ever known hardship and anguish. Prince Harry, who was only a little boy when this horrific period unfolded, saw firsthand the misery and stress that pervaded his parents' marriage. Aside from straining his bond with his dad, this incident left him with feelings of inadequacy and melancholy that persisted throughout his youth and into his romantic partnerships. Rumor has it that Diana had a nervous breakdown right while it was happening. Because the public felt so sorry for her after hearing her honest account of her struggles that they began hurling curses at the royal family. This was a major event because the people had bestowed the title of Princess of the People upon a commoner girl, rendering a long-established monarchy that had dominated over them for ages irrelevant. Did Diana benefit from their love and adoration for her? I bet you're all curious as to why Diana was adored by so many. The fact that she became famous solely due to a man's infidelity defies logic. I agree with that. That alone was not enough to get her the favor of the people. That wasn't the reason at all. People looked up to Diana because she was beautiful and sweet. Among the rare royals who actually fulfilled her duties, she stood out. The fact that Diana's personal life had already collapsed made it all the more remarkable. As a result, Prince Harry and his mother grew closer throughout this period. She was an inspiration to him because of her kindness and her commitment to her royal duties in spite of her hardships. Even though he was anything but ordinary, Harry was inspired by Diana to help those in need and do good deeds regardless of personal circumstances. Of the British royal family, he was a prince. Diana already had a mountain of work to do before Charles's fixation on his affair with Camilla made her burden much heavier. But that's not why people were so enamored with her. Andrew Morton's 1992 memoir Diana, Her True Story was the primary catalyst that set the ball rolling. The book's conversations with Diana revealed the toll that her marriage and Charles's infidelity took on her mental health. Overnight, public sympathy for Diana grew as the world was horrified by the news. Prince Harry also had to cope with more media attention as a result of these discoveries. Those creatures didn't care about the impact on a child's mind, and Harry began to despise his birthright as a result. They knew they would have to divorce in 1999 because their marriage had already collapsed to that point. Despite Diana's best efforts to appear together, the divorce hearings were fraught with tension. Diana became known as the People's Princess as her popularity skyrocketed due to her tireless charitable work. Conversely, Charles was held responsible for the dissolution of the marriage and consequently faced criticism for it. Their marriage, which had a profound impact on the royal families and Britain's prestige, ended with their official divorce in 1996. Following their parents' divorce, Prince Harry and Prince William spent most of their time living with their mother. The arrangement enabled Harry to closely participate in Diana's charitable activities, which shaped his sympathetic personality even more. However, the upheaval and attention from the media around his parents' relationship had a devastating psychological impact on him, damaging his trust in others and his personal relationships, ultimately ruining his future. In what way? Keep watching. The terrible loss of Diana in 1997 was deeply painful. But it guaranteed Diana's place in history. Her legendary status became undeniable, and she left an indelible mark on her boys, Harry and William. The strength of his mother, her dark secrets, and the difficulties in her relationship with her father all served as lessons for Harry. From his marriage to Meghan Markle to his rejection of royal obligations, it has impacted his choices and career path. Why exactly did he turn down all of this? I know it must come as a complete shock to hear that Harry's mother taught her to shun her royal obligations. Diana demonstrated the fruitfulness of these responsibilities throughout her life, therefore this comes as a surprise. Why, though, was Harry fuming? We will inform you immediately instead of putting it off any longer. The reason behind it was Harry's sense of betrayal by her mother. Actually, Diana isn't to blame. Someone she had loved had deceived her. Prince Charles is not being referred to here, by the way. After meeting James Hewitt, Diana no longer had to endure the loneliness that came with Charles's nighttime outings. They started dating in the 1980s and maintained their special bond into the 1990s. As a kind of revenge for her husband's adultery, Diana wished for this to remain hidden until her death. But she had no idea that your closest friends and family members can be the most treacherous. The English city of Durham was the site of James Hewitt's birth on April 30, 1958. A long line of soldiers runs in his family, and he is the only son. After attending illustrious schools such as Eton College and Dragon School, James enlisted in the British Army and rose to the rank of officer in the Royal Artillery. When Hewitt was serving in the military, he met Diana. At the Sandhurst Military Academy, he was posted. During his time as a tank commander trainee. Say what you will about Hewitt's popularity with females, our princess was no exception when it came to her charm, athleticism, and charisma. While James was serving as a cavalry instructor for the household, they first crossed paths. It was only normal for Diana to feel emotionally abandoned, unloved, and alone during that time because her marriage to Charles was failing. Diana found solace in the embrace of a man who treated her with the respect and kindness she deserved. James was the one who provided the companionship and emotional support that Diana craved. It was a welcome break from the stifling royal lifestyle. Their relationship progressed from a platonic to an intimate one. The British tabloids were the first to learn of their secret romance. As a result of the public's insatiable thirst for Diana-related news, the affair made it to every major news outlet. It all began in 1992 when news of Diana's romance with James Hewitt broke. After years of emotional torment caused by her marriage to Charles, who had an affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, many regarded Diana's affair as a means to regain her status and self-worth by expressing independence. Now Diana was just enjoying life. And she couldn't care less about the opinions of others. Despite everything going on, she was able to find consolation in her connection with James, which brought her great emotional support. James first accepted the media spotlight with grace, but it eventually became a source of tension in their relationship. Although being in the spotlight for a while looked to be fun, the relentless pursuit by the paparazzi became too much, and the affair ended in 1992. Who had the gall to reveal Princess Diana's secret relationship with her lover? That is the burning question now. We will not dally any longer, so brace yourself for the shock. James was the one. James Hewitt's financial woes and feelings of betrayal led him to decide to come clean about his affair with Princess Diana. How exactly do we define that? I need you to wait a second. The realization finally dawned on Hewitt after he had left the service and was mired in debt. Publishing Princess in Love was his first move toward the financial windfall he anticipated from slandering his girlfriend. Thanks to the massive public and media interest in the book's secrets, the financial dilemma had been solved. Because Hewitt believed Princess Diana had failed him by not giving their relationship her all, he also experienced feelings of betrayal. And via being overly strict. He, too, found himself overwhelmed by the pressures of their covert affair and sought solace in finding a means to express his perspective. According to reports, Princess Diana was deeply distressed and frightened by the book's release. She thought her privacy had been grossly invaded and objected to the publication. She was already going through a tough time emotionally when the person she had trusted, Hewitt, betrayed her. When the book came out in 1994, Prince Harry was just 11 years old. He and his brother went through a lot of sorrow when their mother's affair was revealed and the media went into a frenzy. The death of Harry's mother and the subsequent public attention to their family have been topics of open discussion. He was obviously quite distressed and nobody was there to comfort him, even though he hasn't said much about how the book made him feel. James was frequently portrayed as a negative influence by the media when the book was published, and his reputation took a hit. Even after he stopped actively participating in reality TV shows, he still made rare appearances in the media. However, his reputation was permanently stained. Actually, a lot of people thought Camilla was the main cause of Charles and Diana's marriage falling apart. No one had it easy, especially with the media's scrutiny. Despite the public outcry and intense media coverage, Charles and Camilla remained secretly involved throughout this time. After bringing so much embarrassment and contempt upon his family, what do you believe Charles did to make amends? No good, just a quick response. Louis wed Camilla in 2005, barely 8 years after his ex-wife passed away. Millions of individuals were opposed to the entire notion of this marriage, which caused it to be highly divisive. There stood Prince Harry, surrounded by detractors. He could see the revulsion in his father's eyes and knew deep down that he would never forgive him for the pain he caused his mother. For the two boys, the fallout from Diana and Charles's divorce was devastating. Both William and Harry came into this world in the years 1982 and 1984, respectively. As children, the princes endured a miserable existence. There was too much emotional harm from his parents' marriage, which was publicly shamed, as well as from Charles's affair with Camilla and Diana's romance with James. Since Harry was 2 years younger than his brother, he was subjected to an immense amount of pressure that no child should have to endure. The things that he encountered were particularly poisonous. In addition to daily exposure to public disgrace, he also endured the betrayal of his parents on a personal level. These feelings, which had already marred his formative years, were intensified by his parents' separation and divorce. Their origin was irrelevant. Even though their parents' relationship was collapsing, William and Harry were not immune to the emotional fallout. As the world fixated on the dissolution of Diana and Charles's marriage, drama unfolded. And it had an equally significant effect on their offspring. While growing up in a broken household, Harry felt the brunt of society's expectations. He lacked the cognitive capacity to understand the complexity of his parents' lives at that age. Envision yourself as a child living in a world where nosy adults are always probing your parents about the way your dad treats them at home with a camera and microphone. All day, every day, he had to deal with these things. The media were savages who treated Harry like a prey animal. For this reason, Harry has long maintained that his childhood was similar to that of a zoo. He never lost track of what was going on in his house. The changes were obvious, and he could feel that things were spiraling out of control. William, the eldest brother of Harry, and Harry himself saw their mother's struggle with her mental health. Because the media never let her escape their clutches and she married the wrong man, all of this happened. Harry was just 10 years old when Charles and Diana formally separated in 1992. He struggled to deal with the emotional weight of the event due to his youth. After dealing with his mother's betrayal, his already icy relationship with Charles became even more strained. The future king, William, was now undergoing his royal training. On the other hand, he was receiving an overwhelming amount of affection and care from everybody around him. The one person who loved Harry without condition was his mother. A vehicle crash in Paris claimed Princess Diana's life on August 31, 1997. Unfortunately, no one remained to listen to 12-year-old Harry as he sobbed and screamed his heart out. After coming of age, Prince Harry was candid about how his mother's death had affected him. He frequently says that the paparazzi were the ones who chased her automobile and caused the terrible accident. Throughout the years, Harry has battled against the overreach of the media and pursued justice for the wrongdoings of private investigators and journalists. A public apology for the invasion of his and his mother's privacy was recently obtained from newsgroup newspapers by him. Maybe Diana's son has helped her soul find some peace, if that makes any difference. However, Harry had to overcome many obstacles during his adolescence and middle years before he reached this degree of maturity. The expectations placed on Harry as a prince contrasted with his growing sense of independence as he entered puberty. He became much more mischievous and began conducting pranks. Among the royal family, only Harry could pull an Elizabethan prank without facing serious consequences. While paying her a tea visit, he would often play a trick by placing plastic flies in the sugar bowl. At Althorpe Estate, he also relished the opportunity to flush his slippers down the toilet. Buying Harry humorous presents at Christmas, Princess Diana fostered his cheeky personality. When he got a package of phony dog feces one year, he knew it was the perfect gag. He turned everything over to William's shoulders, who was undergoing leadership training, and rejected royal protocol. You may recall that we mentioned at the beginning of the film that some have questioned his royal status. I can assure you, that was not clickbait. Many people have speculated passionately about Prince Harry's paternity for a long time. They have serious doubts about Charles's paternity. Is that so? The man himself is James Hewitt. Well, Harry's case isn't helped by the fact that he looks strikingly similar to Hewitt, especially when it comes to their red hair and facial traits. On top of that, their ties to the military were well documented. Well, these notions were all disproved by Harry's explanation. That will become clear when you wait a little. These rumors were greatly exaggerated by the media, who repeatedly compared Harry and Hewitt side by side. Even Harry, who was raised believing this story, started to question his paternity at an early age. Similar like Hewitt, Harry had ties to the military. And that just served to fuel the rumors. Like Hewitt's military career, Harry's impressive service in the British Army included deployments to Afghanistan. The rumors persisted despite there being no evidence supporting them because of these characteristics and the striking physical similarity. Truth regarding his father's identity became more important to Harry as he matured. He finally put an end to the speculation in 2014 when he made it public that Diana's affair with Hewitt had begun only after Harry was born, ruling out the possibility that Hewitt was his biological father. Harry stated that nobody ever seriously questioned his paternity and emphasized that Prince Charles is his biological father. Despite Harry's protestations and the clear disproof of the accusations, the media remained fixated on the subject and continued to emotionally abuse him. The question of whether Harry's mother had an affair prior to or after his birth was often raised. Presumably, they were together long before he became aware of it. Harry felt compelled to take matters into his own hands and pursue legal action against the irate outlets that perpetuated the public's unfounded suspicion. He took legal action because of the harm that had been done to him over the years by unofficial rumors that invaded his privacy and made him doubt his own identity.